Hello and welcome to another bullet journal video, this time for July. As you may be able to see, I actually sketched quite much already ahead of time, so I know what to draw. As you'll see later on, that didn't turn out to help me in any sort of way because I totally messed it up. I mean, at this point, it's kind of inevitable, isn't it? But more on that later. July, I decided on a theme of kind of travel because things are starting to open up again. So I chose travel as a good omen kind of thing. But because I messed it up in the end, I don't know if it's maybe a really bad sign. The things that I'm drawing with the weird lines that I did in a very weird method, like I first did certain lines and then other lines, and I have a weird way of going about things apparently. What it's supposed to represent or turn out in the end to be is, you know how International Mail has that white, red and blue kind of stripe thingies all over it? Yeah, it's going to turn into that. Like, can anybody explain to me why just instead of drawing the stripes normally, I decided to draw them in a weird pattern line kind of motive? This doesn't make much sense to me, and in hindsight kind of frustrates me because it was a really inefficient way of doing it. But I guess that's also maybe just how my brain works. I've also never actually sent one of those international letters, so I don't know if that's how they actually end up looking in the end. But we try. I mean, let's be honest, in the end, I'll anyways just draw this, use it for 1 month, and probably never look at it ever again. I also totally love the fact that you can see my hair dangling into the picture right here, and also that I'm apparently incapable of drawing a circle. I mean, I also guess I hesitated here because I was kind of frustrated at myself. But anywhoozles, the vibe I was going for was having that international letter kind of vibe. Also having like the post stamp in the top right corner and that fancy round, in this case I guess not that round, circle stamp you get when you travel. And then just inserting all over the page a bit like stuff you use for traveling, like compass or your suitcase. I'm also happy to see that the compass circle turned out to be a bit more round than my first attempt. But then of course I had to ruin it by holding my whole face or back of my head into the camera. I also think it's amazing how once again I managed to kind of sketch everything beforehand how I want it to look like, and then in the end completely disregard it. Like with the map that I had perfectly drawn in pencil, but then I decided no, I want it to look different. I want it to be a bit more sideways, so I just drew over it, and that's why it turned out a bit very wonky. To hype myself up a bit, we actually do have some traveling plans because it was my gap year basically since last summer to this summer, but traveling was prohibited for most of the time. I kind of crammed all of my traveling plans that I had spread out throughout the whole year into this last quarter of the year. So I'm quite busy now, but like busy having fun. But it's kind of like the good kind of busy. I will spend quite some time in the mountains. I'll also be going a few days to Greece and to Copenhagen, and it will be my birthday sometime in August, so that will also be kind of an event. Well, not actually an event because I don't really have anything planned, but it's just something that'll also be happening. And then I'll actually start my studies in September, and that's when all of my opportunity for free time that I had this year, but absolutely did not spend wisely, and I was very aware of it. But that will basically be gone for the next 3 years until I finish my studies. But at least I get to study something I really enjoy, so I think that should be okay. And of course I will have kind of holidays throughout, but not really because I'll have to study during those holidays, and it's not this free time that I have now where I have absolutely no obligations to do anything, and effectively also don't do anything. But let's try to stay positive by appreciating this transformation that it didn't turn out that great, but you know what I mean? It's colorful now. I also did decide to draw a little plane, and I know it's bad for the environment, but that's That's how you often just travel. And also I forgot that those circly stamp things have these weird wavy things in them. Then I drew the compass, and I'd like to say that I have absolutely no experience in how to draw maps. So the fact that this map turned out very weird is very normal to expect by a first ever map drawer. And at some point I did realize that it's not really working, and I tried to fix it, but it didn't really work. So, we just, like Mary would say, we just let it be. I also decided to put the number 7 in the post stamp, just because number 7 is July, is the 7th month in the year, and it just kind of made sense to me, so yeah. So this is where the big mess up happens, and it starts out well with the J and the U, and then what the hell, why am I writing June? Yeah, see, I did not kind of notice that when I drew it, and I did not realize it for the longest time. Yeah, as you can see, I just went right by it. I didn't realize it, and I later did realize it, and then I tried to fix it. So I tore out a piece of paper from the back, because my bullet journal is anyways way too long for that year, and I tried to fix it, but for the longest time, even when I sketched it out with pencil, I thought it would be July. I was very aware it was July, but for some reason that I cannot explain to myself, maybe because it's June now and I was so in June mode, but it just, at least it kind of starts with the same 2 letters, so I didn't have to completely scrap it. But yeah, that's how planning a bullet journal turns out for me. So yeah, I guess I kind of managed to fix it, and in real life you don't actually see that well that something is sticked over it. Here you just kind of see it well because of the camera, but it actually, I did manage to cover it up quite okay, but just the fact that happened is totally on brand for me. For the longest time I spent at least an hour staring at June. Not I even drew the 7 for the 7th month in the year, July, and I still wrote June. Somebody being me just really didn't check anything. Well, I did check it. I just didn't realize it. Yeah, I fixed it in the end, so that's kind of all that matters in the end, I guess. Anyway, now that drama is over, we can finally move on to the weekly spreads that kind of look as they always do. So I actually just doubled the speed again, because this process kind of looks the same as always. But what I basically do is I just do 1 double page per week, and then usually on the left side take something that fits to the theme. In this case now I chose the post stamp, where I write down the date and the day of the week that it is, so that on the right hand side I usually write what I kind of have going on that day, and on the left hand side I write kind of what happened that day. So the right side is kind of for planning ahead of time, and the left hand side is kind of a mini short diary entry in the end, I guess. And for the colors I picked red and blue, because that fits to the international mail letter thing. I also have this really cool pencil that is both red and blue, so I don't have to take a different pencil every time. It's the exact same pencil. Isn't that great? Also, apologies for the deteriorating image quality. It got late while I was doing the bullet journal, because I still had to fix that mess up in between, and by the time I was finished it was nighttime already. But I continued the next day with the final bit, where I usually at the end of the month I have this list for plans, if I have anything planned for that month, where I don't necessarily know the specific date, or just something I generally want to get done that month. I write that on the right hand side, and on the left hand side I usually write down my favorites. So if I have some music I really enjoyed that month, or a podcast I really enjoyed, or a movie I really liked, just basically anything. And then usually on the last page I have my mood tracker, where I, for the days of the month. I just kind of track from 1 to 10 my mood. Here again, the colorful pencil comes very in handy. And then we're finished! Whee! And here's still the final flip through, though you've basically already seen most of it, but yeah, fancy! Ta-da! Yeah. Anyway, I hope you kind of enjoyed it, though I hope you're not malicious and enjoyed my failure in mistaking the month. But yeah, feel free to let me know what kind of bullet journal design you did. And yeah, see you next time. Bye!